you work for Exabeam. Can
Yeah.
you tell us, what does Exabeam do, and what are you doing with AI there?
Yeah. So Exabeam is a company that, without getting into model names and product names and things, what we do is we help large corporations collect up all their cybersecurity data, which, is often terabytes or even petabytes of data that they're streaming to us. So think about basically your log files for everything. And Exabeam's a company that's a little more than 10 years old, and it was originally founded off the premise that you could use machine learning to look at that data and find patterns that indicate normal, not normal, risky, abnormal, and use that to build risk profiles for helping teams look for security problems. And without AI in this mode, you're stuck with something like a typical team would have Splunk collecting all their data, and there would be these wizards who were really good at creating little if-then rules and searching Splunk and looking for patterns. And you were it's this very labor-intensive thing. What Exabeam's been doing for the last 10 years is using machine learning to do that and find those hotspots. But one of the challenges, even when you found those needles in a haystack, then you're sort of presenting some analyst with a log file line that's, an IP address, a username, an application name, and you're like, what do I do with this? And a security analyst might ask 30, 40 questions about it. So what we've been doing the last couple of years is layering LLM-based AI agents on top of that. So we use high-speed traditional machine learning algorithms to find abnormal things, and then we use agents to look at them and explain them to the human analysts in a security operations center so that they can make that hard decision about, do I turn off the CEO's laptop at the investor conference because I saw something funny in a log file line? And, our job is to make them confident that says, yeah, I need to do that because his laptop has been compromised and I don't want the CEO's laptop compromised. So I'm going to push this button that's going to, disable his account. Or do I say, yeah, that was weird, but it was just weird, not risky. I'm just going to mark that as something that we don't need to worry about, and we should train the algorithms to ignore it next time.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like one of the things that we should all be doing then, besides reading your book, is becoming Exabeam customers.
It wouldn't hurt, but I will say, I think the thing I tell everybody, any sales nonsense aside, and I'm not in sales, so it's not my job to sell stuff, but we are in an AI arms race at this point. And, we haven't talked about we've talked about the bad guys doing traditional things of, building evil packages and uploading them, or, trying to sneak in through back doors. But the bad guys are all using AI now in anger. Right. And, the OpenAI guys, the Anthropic guys, Google, everybody's publishing papers about how they're trying to stop the hackers from using their stuff. And the headline often reads, OpenAI, largely successful at stopping hackers. The other way to read that is OpenAI, often unsuccessful at stopping hackers. But all that became irrelevant in January. There was this Chinese company called DeepSeek that, it was really just a hedge fund. But when you're a hedge fund, your job for the last 20 years has been using AI to figure out trading strategies. So these hedge funds are really sophisticated AI users. So they basically looked at Llama and they looked at the papers from Google and OpenAI, and they said, we could do this. And they built their own frontier class model, which is, it's debatable about who's better on what day, but it's certainly of the class of the major US ones. And it's completely open source, which means every hacker group from Russia to North Korea to a script kiddie in his basement in South Africa now has access to world leading AI. And they're using it to do everything from incredibly sophisticated phishing attacks to searching open source code bases for new 0 days, to accelerating their probing your infrastructure for vulnerabilities. And so I do tell everybody, you know, from a cybersecurity defense point of view, if you're a company, you need to be thinking about how am I going to arm my own cybersecurity team with AI? Because otherwise, I'm just going to get outrun by the bad guys and their AI.